Well, next from us, the year is 1977. The country is celebrating the Queen's Silver Jubilee. Fleetwood Mac are top of the charts, and this time it's Labour who are trying to form a minority government, striking a deal with the Liberals.
But that is not all. Anglia Television are also about to make the news, not just here, but right around the world.
Yes, back then the company decided to set up an April Fool, but this wasn't going to be your average hoax. Oh no, this was going to be a feature-length documentary with actors and actresses, as they were known then, reporting on how scientists were being kidnapped to work on Mars to prepare for the end of the world.
Makes no sense. I mean, how can people just vanish off the face of the earth in this day and age? We've a right to know what's going on. Those people you've just seen have all lost someone close to them. A relative, a colleague, a friend. Lost in mysterious circumstances, sudden and inexplicable disappearance without trace. If you're wondering what this sort of story, important and even tragic though it may be, has to do with science report, well, we have to go back in time some 18 months, when we began work on another film which examined the scientific brain drain from Britain. That film...
Well, the other twist to the story is that due to a scheduling issue, the programme, called Alternative 3, wasn't transmitted on the 1st of April, but the 20th of June, resulting in floods of calls from terrified viewers, assuming that what they were seeing was in fact real.
40 Years On, the programme is going to get a second public airing tonight at the Forum in Norwich, and you can see it on our website after our programme.
Well, here to tell us more are Dr. Tim Snelson, a media lecturer at the University of East Anglia, and Christopher Miles, who came up with the idea and directed the documentary. Thank you both very much for coming in. Christopher, if we can start with you. How on earth did you come up with such a concept?
Well, David Ambrose, a friend of mine, was working on a play he'd written for Anglia, and they were called plays in those days, I mean, they're not films, and he thought of an idea of disappearing people. And he hadn't quite worked it out where they were disappearing to, and he said, Christopher, it's been turned down by the Anglian board. Could we meet, and have you got any ideas to try and, rethink the show? So we had a good glass of white wine on a very hot day, I remember.
That usually works, doesn't it? Yeah.
1976, that terrible summer.
Yes, yes.
And the summer was impinging on our lives a lot then. It was really very hot in London. We were up to 35, 36 degrees. And David's wife was a French Swiss, and she took a magazine called Paris Match.
Yes.
And David said, well, what are we going to do? I said, David, you haven't worked out where the people are disappearing to, but what about Mars?
And off they went.
And that's how we started.
Absolutely extraordinary. And the reaction, of course, that was extraordinary as well. And just tell us, just give us a flavour of what it was like when people saw it and then phoned in by the hundreds to complain or say how frightened they were.
Well, yeah, news reports the following day suggest that thousands phoned into across the ITV regions, into newspapers. Some people who were scared and terrified of what they'd seen, others who were angry that they'd been taken in by the hoax.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a lot of the newspaper reports, some reported, around the ethics of this, as they called it, TV terror, whereas others were talking about the film itself as being this sort of innovative, creative piece of filmmaking, which was...
And it went global.
New.
And in Australia, we describe it today as fake news, wouldn't we? What happened there?
Well, Australia was a bit naughty. They actually put the show following the news. So during the news, the real news programme, they announced we've got this extraordinary film that's just come from Britain, and we're going to show it to you following the news. So,
You can understand why people were slightly terrified.
Oh, Australia was petrified.
Of course, it had to be completely believable, which it was for many people. So the actors and actresses had to be completely anonymous, but some of them went on to be quite big stars after this, didn't they?
No, they weren't. There was nobody terribly famous. That was one of my problems. Yeah. I wanted to use real people.
To start with, but afterwards, some of the big
afterwards they became stars. Yes, they did.
There was one chap I saw called
David Marner, who was Allo, and there was Shane Rimmer, who played the astronaut. Yes.
Thunderbirds as well, of course. This is the man we're talking about here, and was in James Bond as well, I think, at one stage as well. So,
How on earth did you manage to keep it all a secret?
Well, the press played ball. They were very good, the press. Anglia Television was run then by a lovely man who made used to make feature films, called Sir John Wolfe, and he wanted to have this nice surprise, and he persuaded the press to keep stum and not to tell the real story.
It's hard to imagine it actually working today in social media. Do you think this could happen again today or not?
Well, I mean, we live in a culture where we're told is saturated by fake news and misleading media reports. But yeah, I think part of the reason why the programme worked so well at the time was because it was so innovative. That TV, weren't expected to be misled by a television programme. So I think, there had been other examples beforehand, things like the Panorama report of the Spaghetti Harvest, but these were more light-hearted. Something that was this serious and this authentic was quite new and unique, I think. And I think Anglia were really brave to put it out.
Oh, it's extraordinary. Well, it goes out to be able to watch it tonight at the Forum in Norwich as well, and on our website as well. But thanks so much for coming in and giving us a flavour of it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.